Hello, everyone. I'm so excited today to have Shari from Karma Kids Yoga. Oh my gosh, my dear, you have been doing this work for decades, and I'm so excited to share with our community. We met years ago at the National Kids Yoga Conference, and we haven't had a chance to connect. So I'm so excited, not just to share you with our community, but also to reconnect and learn your expertise and where you're at. So to jump in, tell us a little bit about your background. What have
Hi,
you been up
hi.
to? What's your work? What's your passion?
Oh my
Tell
goodness.
us about you.
First of all, I'm so excited. I love that you're doing this. I'm so grateful that you jumped right in for our community in such a great way. So yeah, thank you for having me today. And yes, it is so great to connect and see your face. We haven't seen each other in years, but I
Yes.
love that we can just hop on a Zoom and be right back where we left off. But where we
Right.
left off was such a different time.
Right.
So what was the question again? I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
what's your work? And we're going to talk today about baby yoga, baby and toddler, but give
Uh,
us the kind of like
oh,
your background. What's your
so
like your deep passion within the kids work yoga world?
whoa, within the kids yoga world. Um, I what my passion. You know what? I honestly and legitimately love what I do. I really do. I approach my teaching with all of my heart. Um, where my passion lies is typically outside of just straight up yoga when it comes to children. I love being weird. I love doing discovery kind of things or special events. It could be dressing up or playing pretend in some kind of incredible way. I've been known to do like lollipop meditations and marshmallow meditations, slime meditations. I like bringing the weirdness and the kid friendliness and playfulness into yoga. I've never been a believer of straight up asana and pranayama. I always believed like working with children, you got to have more. But if you were to ask me, when we first opened 21 years ago, yeah, I couldn't see myself doing a lollipop meditation. I wouldn't even understand what that would look like. But I'm just so grateful that I'm still able to do this, that I still enjoy it, that it's still planting seeds. At the end of the day, I really hope that every child can take at least one tool, one something that I've offered, even if it's silly, even if it's like a hidden talent kind of thing, like a snack challenge, like eating a blueberry off your butterfly pose knee. Just, I like to get weird. And I'm going to say that's where the majority of my passion lies. But I really do love working with every single age group, and I work with them so differently in terms of offerings. I'm going to
Yeah.
cut myself off because I'll just keep talking.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I love that. And that's the highlight, right? You can tell your energy. Since
Oh,
I met you before, you elude such enthusiasm, such a passion for the work. And I
oh,
love that you are working with all the different age groups because we do hear that from our community saying, how do I work with the little ones different than the teenagers? And you
yeah.
manage with your personality and your enthusiasm to relate to children, connect to children, all different ages. So
Yes.
speaking specifically about in New York, that's where you're based in New York, right?
Yeah.
So speaking specifically about baby yoga, tell us
Yeah.
what are some of
Oh,
the benefits that you've seen? I think specifically, have you
the baby.
always done baby yoga for the 20 years, or is this something more you've started recently?
Excellent question. So when I first opened the doors, I was kids only, kids like no babies, and young tweens or tweens, like young teens. I was a little scared of the teenagers at first, and felt that the two trainings I took
Mm.
didn't really cover New York City real teenagers.
Yeah.
Um, I was not yet ready for babies, and I was not a mom yet. And I had, so it had to be 2005. So it was 2 years of the studio being open. I was like, it's time. So I signed up for Yoga Mom Buddha Baby, and that was Jyoti Larson, and she's a goddess in New York City when it comes to postnatal anything. I signed up for her class. What I didn't know when I signed up, but I knew when the course started, I was pregnant. Which was kind of cool. And I didn't make it happen just, so, hey, I'm taking baby yoga. Let me have a baby. It was just really interesting. And
Yeah.
so, I took that course and we started offering baby yoga. And in our community, like the studio had been growing, and in New York City, it was very new. Our business was booming. And so there had been requests like second time moms are just like, where's the baby? Where's the baby stuff? And so we started with mom and baby yoga. So postnatal classes, we filled up. And then something I noticed, like a really interesting, oh, you know what? I realized you asked me a totally different question.
No, it's
I guess
interesting. Yeah, no, there's so much there, sorry, that
there's so much.
there's so
So
much there because what you're saying is that sometimes for kids yoga teachers, they feel like they have to spread the world. They feel like they have to work with all the different age groups, right? But what you did there is you started with the ages that you feel comfortable with and where your training
yeah,
was. And then you went back for more training. And then when you were pregnant, right? And so then you were having your own experiences too, right? And so there's
yeah,
this
which was really cool. But
yeah, where
one
it
thing
was
is,
more authentic, right? Then you
yeah,
had the training, you had the experience to be able to then offer baby yoga, right?
yeah. And it's really interesting what you said, which was, kids yoga teachers feeling they have to. I actually encourage like any kids yoga teachers that come for, mentoring or our teachers, I'm always like, only teach who you're comfortable with. Like, please do not go for any age group you're not comfortable with, because it will come out, it will show. And we
Yeah,
don't want that. Like, I'll help you
right.
get there. But, when I first started, I wasn't comfortable, So when, I took my training, but I luckily had another two other teachers that were already trained in postnatal and baby yoga. So, here we are. We started with 3 and started offering classes, which led to more, which ultimately led to baby yoga and developmental movement, meaning a totally separate class. So there's a number of ways that we offer baby yoga. One is with, the baby part of a mom and baby class, which is usually 25 to 30% of the class. Um, in a daycare setting, right? Not so much preschools, but daycares often have at least one baby room, sometimes multiple. So
Yeah.
we go into those schools and
Oh, I
kind of
love
do
that.
a round robin of babies with the caregivers. And that's usually about 30 minutes per class, but the babies seem to get, depending on how many are at school that day. You got to do a little math. So it might be, if there's 9 babies and 2 caregivers to help me, each baby's going to get 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. And then, yeah. And then we saw that at our studio space, there was about, let's say 50-50 of moms versus caregivers, right? Working moms versus non-working moms. And, the dynamic with you, if you have a caregiver, is, you're going to send them to classes for the baby, music class. Yoga was weird because you really, like, you're not sending your nanny to mom and baby. It's a rare parent to do that because it's really about the baby. Your nanny may or may not want anything to do with their practice of yoga. And it just wasn't something that people were investing their money in.
Right.
So I noticed in our story time class, which is something we always did for free for as long as we're open, like it's our give back to the community. We always had babies there. It's up to age like 3 or 4. And if you're home from school that day, like all ages are welcome. But it started to really fill with so many more babies. When I do story time, in between each story, I do a little song and routine. But I started to notice, if I got 20 kids, but 30 babies, I can't ignore those babies. So I started to do some of my baby movement routines in
Oh,
that class. And to
yeah.
make it funny for the 2s and the 3-year-olds, I had their caregiver do that to them so that they could pretend to be a baby and be silly and feel what it feels like,
Right.
right? Or to skip it or to do it to their own sibling. So I suddenly was like, oh, there's something here with all these, like everyone loves the free class, but let me try a baby only class. And it was jam packed packed with nannies, as well as, and this is something as yoga people we forget, that not everybody likes yoga. So,
Right.
you know, forgetting, like, some moms are like, yeah, I'm Pelotoning, I'm soul cycling, like, I don't do yoga. We forgot
Yeah.
about them.
Yeah, right. I love this. I love
Yeah.
this.
But you know what? You had asked me about the benefits, and the
Yes.
benefits, I think, are, this is the coolest thing about baby yoga. Babies are natural yogis. So even if you choose not to do yoga with them, they're going to do it on their own, right? That when
Right.
they place them on their belly at the lowest point of earth, right, on tummy time, they lift their head up.
Mm.
And that's your first cobra pose. You can lift
Yes.
your head up. You can use your arms to come up even higher, right?
Right. Right.
When we first when we sit and twist, oh my goodness, there's so many first
Yeah.
babies. So when babies first sit up, you make a sound behind them. They're going to turn around with only upper body. And it's like something that we sit here struggling, torso forward, turning from the upper body just for a twist. And it's some of the most beautiful twisting. They naturally, when they get on their hands and knees, they look up to the world. They're in a cow pose. You look down, you're in your cat. When they first start to stand, because there's sequencing in their development. So when they first start to stand, they will either in the tiniest, cutest little down dog that looks like a forward bend, or from a beautiful frog squat and a perfectly straight back that I'm sure, and no judgment, Giselle, but neither of us have in our bodies. Their bodies, their postures are so beautiful. They're actually like what I would call yoga journal quality, because they don't have the stresses and the issues that we start to get. And, you know, if anything, it's just a little flexibility, and we're not worrying about that yet, but they just have such a beautiful natural practice. But of course, helping them along, they'll benefit. It aids in their digestion, right? Constipation, colic, improves their sleeping patterns, both duration and frequency. It helps develop their little growing muscles. And you know, I always put bonding last, because anything you do with your baby, I really do believe is bonding. You talk to your connection with your baby, you're bonding. But this is a much more playful way to do it. We're doing it with movement, and I hope, you know, that you're singing and being silly and dancing along with it. And the best part, from my experience, is that babies love it. And when we see our new little human is enjoying something, we overdo it. We want to do more of it, right? Like when baby laughs at something, we don't just go, okay, you know, good night, everybody. We keep doing that thing that made them laugh, because that sound is just incredible. And so in my classes, that those giggles, those things come usually at a price of heavy work on mom or dad's part, right? But babies love when mom and dad is working hard. So when I hear those giggles, it's often in a jumping, something that takes a lot of effort.
Yes.
Which becomes funny with the parents, because I'm, you know, I always have my bear, and he's like not even a pound. So I could do this all day and make it look really easy.
Right.
But I do often end up giving up my bear and taking on that 20-pounder.
Yeah.
But anything for the babies.
I love it.
It's such a joyous, fun thing to do. So, you know, they're going to do it naturally, but there's very limited things, you know, at least here in New York, to do with your baby. You know, there's always music. There's something new in New York City that I love, and they're having it at one of my community places, and it's opera for baby. And I'm just like, I got to sneak in on that class. I just want to observe. I want to, like, what do they do when they hear those big voices? You know, I noticed in baby class, if we ohm, the whole room gets silent, because they're like, sound. So I'm really curious, but there really isn't all that much. New York City has, when weather permits, there's like mom with the stroller, you go to the park, and you know, it's more fitness kind of things. Some like wear your baby in dance class, but I feel like I love seeing new things for babies. Like it's such a short time, you
Yeah.
know?
I love this distinction. You really like, oh, I had one of those aha moments. I love the distinction between what you're talking about is mom and baby yoga and baby yoga on its own. What I mean
Yeah.
by that is when I lived in San Francisco, right? So San Francisco, of course, there's yoga classes and we had the guru of mama baby yoga
Yeah.
back then. And so I
Yeah.
would go to class and I'd be there and I'd get there. I was so excited that I could actually practice yoga again. But guess what I did? I breastfed the entire time,
Yep.
right? And then my child would yell and scream and whatever, and that was it. I was out. So I couldn't go. I couldn't
So
go because
here's,
it wasn't at the
see,
right time. But what I love what
I
you're saying.
disagree. I disagree. And this is why, so
Yeah.
you know all those feelings, right? You come in and we have that perception of the yoga class, right? Like,
Yeah.
adult only.
Right.
And, you wouldn't be late because it's rude and they wouldn't let you in. And there's these
Right.
unspoken things that happen,
Yes.
right? And here's another thing that I bet you never thought about. I'll bet you never, even if you had so much more ohm left in your ohm, if your teacher stopped, you wouldn't go past her, would you?
Oh yeah, I
Right?
do. Yeah.
Oh, you do?
Oh, totally.
I love you. I love you. I so respect that. I'm like, oh, I shouldn't do that.
Oh
But
no, I do. Yeah, I felt a lot of
anyway,
shame. I felt embarrassed because
knowing all those
yeah,
things, right?
right.
And knowing how many hormones are going through your body, all your worries, and how lonely of a time it could be, and maybe it's 4:30 in the afternoon, you didn't brush your teeth yet, and all those times, maybe you have friends, maybe you don't, meaning like mommy friends are very different from non-mommy friends the second you become a mommy. I give a speech at the start of every one of my classes to manage expectations.
I
And
love
that
that.
speech for mom and baby yoga or baby yoga developmental movement is, welcome. Whatever you need to do to tend to your baby, if crying, feeding, fussing, changing, screaming on your part, on their part, it's all welcome here.
Oh,
Please,
I wish I
if
was
you're
living in New York then. I wish I was
because
in
you know
your
what,
classes.
I couldn't be that place, right?
Yeah,
So if
right.
our focus and our differentiation is children and families and growing,
Yeah, yeah.
you can take a look at an adult yoga studio that is like, hey, some of our power clients are getting pregnant, we want them back, let's offer mom and baby. And you'll notice a huge difference where in order to bring your baby, they must not be moving. Crawlers are kicked out. That is a lot of information there. If you're like us on the other side of this, which is, why would the baby get kicked out? Like, that's a human and you have an opportunity here. But they chose, that's not an opportunity they want. So babies are kicked out. So think about, you may not get out of the house for 6 to 8 weeks to feel ready to do something like that. Maybe 3 months, right? Maybe 3 months. Then what do you got? You got 3 to 7 months of yoga in this class before you're kicked out. We were like, yeah, no, you should be crawling. We want to get you to the next level. And this is where we kind of took over to be that place. The power moms that didn't want to do this, which is okay, they're the ones that are going to go back to like Yoga Works, Laughing Lotus, and Jiva Mukti to, get their adult yoga class on. Not everyone was, necessarily wanted to be in that yoga place, and that's okay. So finding that dynamic where we can reach just about everyone. And wait, there's someone we haven't even talked about yet. It's dad.
Right.
Now, dads are always welcome to all of our classes. That said, every now and then when a dad did arrive, you'd notice an ever so slightly different breastfeeding sitch, but we wanted to welcome dads. And because, like, hey, a dynamic of dads is there probably working. We had in 2008 was financially, something bad happened. And a lot of dads got laid off and moms went back to work. But anyway, we saw this big surge in dads. And that was a big wake up call. And we never wanted to forget dad since then. So at least once a year while I had my studio space, and even now I try to do a public event, at least once a year, sometimes twice. I like to do a daddy something, dad and baby, dad and kid, dad and daughter, dad and son, just like bringing daddies in.
I love
Daddies
that.
bring a much different energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
It
love
almost
that.
feels dangerous in the safest way, baby yoga
Yeah,
with
yeah.
dad.
Right, right. Yeah, and I love that distinction too, that you're talking about, talking to the moms and dads who want to practice yoga, right? And then show up with their babies. And then you're talking about providing classes like story time and that for all people, even those who maybe don't want to practice yoga, or maybe are curious and have never done it. And then your distinction about the actual baby yoga, that's what I'm also interested in, is because for me, the mummy baby yoga didn't work out for me, so I would just do it at home. And so how it showed up for us was we'd be at the zoo. We went to the zoo a lot in San Francisco, or the aquarium. And then we would act out the animals with yoga poses. So, when she was walking, right, it would be like giraffe, and she'd stand on one foot, or whatever, a tree pose. And, we do the cobra and like the dog, and when we were in the park. And so that creativity came through. But wow, if I had what you're talking about, if I'd had a community of people who are also interested in practicing yoga with the baby, not necessarily yogi adults, right? But working.
Exactly. Because it's something to do that benefits the baby. And you know what, it's social. And we need, there's a need to do that, to get out and to get your baby doing something. It's funny because there really isn't all that much to do with babies. They're just not capable. There's no soccer, but there is soccer for toddlers, and I remember when that came down, like when we first opened, you look around at what you're competing with. And I don't mean yoga. I mean like dance, ballet, soccer, all kinds of stuff, right? All other activities. And though we know yoga is a complement for it, when it came down to babies, like there was music. That was it.
Yeah,
it was
right. Music together. Yeah.
Yoga, I can't win. And also like the same, like when my daughter was born, my husband checked out music together, music for aardvarks, preferred music for aardvarks, and that's where they went. And I had the yoga studio, and that's where they came. And there was nothing else until she got bigger, so I just really love any celebration of babies, or moms doing something with the babies, or even the caregivers, because those things like story time, they're great, and they build community. Whether someone was interested in yoga or they're just coming to help fill their day, I didn't care, because if like why they came didn't matter to me. The fact that they were there and they were happy and maybe learned something. And I can also, like, while giving those things, just like while teaching it, like story time was not a focused baby class. Like I'm reading stories, and in between, I might do TikTok or the butterfly song. But when I see all these babies, I'm going to, maybe I'll cross the midline with them, or we'll do, legs in and out. And I'll be like, this is great for gas. This is great for constipation. Happens to the best of us, just to tell them like why you're doing this. Right. So in the event, or even like give them tips for meltdowns or things that happen. Like if I have an opportunity to share information that could be helpful to someone. Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Wonderful.
We've covered so much already. Shari, if we were to say, like, if you were to walk away with 3 top tips on specifically sharing yoga with babies, what are you looking for? Because you're talking about sort of the poses, you're talking about go ahead.
So top tip, I'm going to say the very first thing is the mindset of the teacher, meaning like there's nothing that can go wrong here. Crying, meltdowns, poop explosions, nothing is wrong. Like it's part of our class. Well, can I tell you a really quick story?
Yes.
So brand new mom, new to us. She came with a friend who is also a new mom that had been coming to us, right? So and we are so welcoming. Her little boy had the craziest poop explosion up the back, over like a fountain. We laughed our butts off. It was adorable, and we're there to help. This mom was horrified, mortified, so embarrassed, crying, apologizing. We're like, girl, shit happens. Poop, like trying every way to be
Yes.
funny. We gave him a new outfit. We helped clean him up. Every wipes were just like,
Love it.
girl, what do you think? You're the first to have this hat. Like
Yeah.
everything we could do to make this mom feel, hugging her. We're playing in the poop. Like, and her friend too.
It.
She was horrified. We sent her home in a new outfit. We put a class in her, like, we giving you a class, like, please.
Yes.
She never came back. I know, right? Her friend though, her friend let us know, like, she's too embarrassed. She'll never come back. She's like the kind of person who would fart and like in front of someone and like never be there for them again. That's her. And what a shame, because like, hey, she was a new mom. I'm sure now, you don't know at first, right? We would think my kid's the one ruining the class, but you know, nothing can go wrong. So if your baby screams the whole time or you're breastfeeding, like, hey, you're here, I'll give you something to do, or I'll leave you alone. Or I can also mention, hey, Giselle, I see you're feeding, we're going to do some baby yoga, or maybe your baby's sleeping and we're definitely not waking them up. You're here and you're present and you're learning, and you can do this later when your baby wakes up. Or I'm going to get, hey, you want to work on your core? Are you tired? Do you want to open up those shoulders from, you know, doing this all the time? So I'm always observing, like, I feel this is such a community to really love on. The babies are getting so much love. I know this is about babies, but I love on those mamas in every way possible, for so many reasons. You know, when you think about it while you're pregnant, especially if this is your first time, you're showered with so much attention and then whoosh, ripped away. And the attention's all on the baby and not you. Yeah, it's a lot. And I want to love on those mamas too, letting them know, like, hey, I'm here to support. My baby's now about to turn 18 years old. She doesn't even live here anymore. So if I have an opportunity to do the baby sway with your child, I'll gladly take it. I'm also like, you know what, if you don't want me and my germy self near your baby, I'm okay with that too. But overall, I would say the very top tip is changing the mindset about how we present the class. Like, calm, cool, whatever happens. Have a sense of humor. Like, you're a mom now. Have a sense of humor. You got poop under your fingernails, you're still welcome here. Like,
I love that.
Yep. So I want to be as accommodating, welcoming, and not have you feel any like I'm ruining anything. Like, you can't ruin my class. You cannot. There's no such thing as baby Zen or Zen in this class, you know?
Right.
And I think that's like the key thing. Other tips, like, I think environment is something to consider. Sometimes we can't control it. You know, if you're doing outdoor yoga, you can't control that, but look for shade, or opportunities where sun and shade play. Like under a tree is perfect because there's movement of leaves and it's really something beautiful for baby to stare up at. And just being aware of some music or light situations if indoor. You know, babies can't tell us if something's bothering them. So if I have a baby that's, you know, that's crying and isn't stopping, I'm okay with that. Like, keep in mind, like, I'm so okay. Oh, the sweet sound of someone else's baby. It's glorious. It's like, not my baby, right? It really is. Like, I have no problem with that. But it maybe the music I have on is very irritating. So I just know these little things. So I might just, without making the whole room aware of what I'm doing, I might just go and smoothly change that song. I might dim the lights. I might make the lights brighter. I might turn them off. I might realize the baby's going to cry. That's it.
Right.
Take them and hold them while the mom does yoga. You know, I'm happy to do that. Like, I think it's so strange when parents think their baby is not behaving because they're crying. Right. Yeah. Right. It's communication. Like, we want that. They're telling you something. You got to figure it out, you know, but we can help. And one of my favorite tips, and so many new moms don't know it, right? So tummy time. tummy time doesn't have to be on the ground at the lowest point of the universe. Look, this is tummy time. Any connection, their chest and belly, to anything, to yours. So they say, 40 minutes a day is needed. Doesn't have to be consecutive, but let's just say, I haven't done any tummy time today. My kid hates it. They scream. And, some parents never want to hear their kids sad or upset. We can get our tummy time hours in this way, and they get the same benefits, right? So tummy time on the floor, we lift our head up. They're going to do the same thing, right? To see you. It's an upright cobra pose, building our neck strength, but so many parents don't know that. And so they go through the dreaded on the ground or in the crib, and often baby don't care for that much. So so that is one of my favorite things, is that tummy time does not have to be upright. It can also be active. I'm sitting in a chair right now, so I don't know how well I can do this, but do you know what I mean? If I go in and out like this.
Yeah.
Like
you're
in a pose. Like in a pose, knees in and out, like flying babies. That's also tummy time. So it can be fun. It can be playful. It doesn't have to be horrible, but it is important. We do have to get it done. Yeah.
There's so much creativity in what you're talking about. Even that second point about the environment, I was thinking about what you've had us think about is it doesn't just have to happen at a yoga studio, right? It can happen in a library when you're doing story time, or in a recreation space where, if they've got a music class before, and then you're or in a park, or I just love that you're meeting them where they're at. You're meeting the moms where they're at. You're making them feel safe and comfortable, and the sense of belonging. You're building community with them, which we need so much as new moms, right? So many of us are isolated.
We need
right?
one friend that gets it, that knows it's, what time is it? It's 12. I haven't brushed my teeth yet. I haven't eaten, or, whatever it is, just to be like, I got you, or I get you. I understand, because the friends you had that are not in the same place, they don't understand.
Right.
They don't. They've just it's not a place they are in their life. And I've had many, we want to be open, and some moms will come for yoga, and some moms will sit and chat and really connect and talk to you about motherhood, which is really lovely, because not all of my teachers are moms, and they weren't all along, but many more are. I'm going to say we definitely lean more mom than non-mom, but I still have some that have not, they haven't had their babies yet. But I personally feel it was so important. It really is, to just have just one to connect with, or cry to, or laugh with, even for your baby to make a buddy, those, you form your little groups, when the moms get along, and the kids, they got years to figure out about getting along, but they'll play next to each other or take things from each other. But I feel that those little groups, they were life to me. And without coming out and saying this to my clients, I'm going to get you a mommy friend. I just try to, knowing who I know, or even in intros, that becomes a nice thing. Like if it's a mom and baby class, I spend a little time up front, with introductions. Introduce yourself, your baby, how old they are, any milestones you want to brag upon. I will say sleeping through the night is usually kept on the down low, but if you've earned the right to brag about it, I'll support you in this circle. But it gives an opportunity to be like, oh, Judy, you had your child at NYU in December. She was there in December too. Oh my, could you guys have crossed? Did you have the same job? Just something. You live nearby? Are you part of this group? To just throw out information to help moms. So we were in Flatiron. So there's 3 great mommy groups. So just to share, hey, there's on Facebook, there's Madison Square Park moms, Union Square moms, and Gramercy moms. All are wonderful. Check them all out. Join them all. But here's a place where, you can share that you need a babysitter, that you're just like, hey, I have a crib that didn't work out, I'm selling it. Whatever. It's just all things new parenting. And as a new parent, you're like, whoa, this world exists. I just remember making that huge shift into that new world of I'm not the most important thing. My kid is.
Yeah,
And
yeah, right.
it
Right.
was a, it was quite different. So help and support of other moms was more valuable than any advertisement I saw about certain creams or diapers or whatever, just like
I love it.
having those great discussions.
Yeah.
Moms are the best. They get stuff done, they know
Yeah,
their
yeah.
things,
I
and
love it.
having that little network or even just your friend group
Yeah.
is so
Mhm.
essential.
So you were sharing your bear. Do you have any other go-to kind of resources or props or training?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. What's your go-to?
props, always shaky eggs. I love my shaky eggs. They're easy to clean. I like this brand. It's called Eggs with a Z, EGGZ. They're not as expensive as like if you were to go into like a drum center and get like a real LP. Those are quite costly, but they're really good quality, meaning um they don't break easy, and that's what you want.
Yeah.
So in baby only and developmental movement, I put one of these on every blanket, and for mom and baby yoga, I put them on every blanket too. But for mom and baby yoga, I actually have a whole bunch of toys that I put in the center of our big circle with the thoughts of like, we're wrangling the babies in the center. Here are all the toys. We'll keep our eyes on you while we're vinyasing.
Yeah, right.
So of course they do crawl outside of their circle if they're moving, but the props that I tend to use are like nubby sensory bowls or soft gund balls, which is like a stuffed animal, but it's a ball. And stacking cups, little things like nothing that will harm anybody.
Yeah.
I have toys that are great for teething too. And everything is washed after each class. I let everyone know that. I also say, you're welcome to, if you don't want to use my toys, like you're not going to hurt my feelings. Like whatever, just be you.
Yeah, yeah. I love
But I
it.
offer all these things out there. And yeah, I'm gonna say that for the most part. I do set up some blocks sometimes for really mobile babies, like outside of the circle area. Like I never use wood blocks or cork. I use like those foam, really light blocks because if you build a little brick wall, they'll knock it down. I build it up, they knock it down, and maybe a tunnel. But I have only if we're just working with the babies, this is all I need. Something that makes a sound. Pro tip though, I'll give you this. If you're teaching baby yoga, your toys are often stolen by other babies. I always wear a beaded bracelet. It's like a natural rattle of course, it's not making much noise now, but
Right, right.
and more bracelets on. It acts as a little something that makes a sound, but I can also use my fingers to snap.
Yeah.
Resources. We offer baby yoga and
Yeah.
developmental movement training.
Perfect.
We just had one last Friday. It is the cutest, sweetest course. I teach it with Marcus and Medi Teddy. Just no judgment on Marcus's part, but there's a couple poses Medi Teddy does just a little better. It's not about a perfect pose though.
Yeah.
But we offer this course in person as well as a webinar. It's short and sweet. It's only 4 hours, but it's all baby movements, all our poses, whether they're on your back, on your belly, seated, standing, active. There's baby headstand, believe it or not, as well as like fun songs and routines to do within your class. And of course, a lot of information on their development, ages and stages, and where they could or should be.
Yeah.
Another great resource who I learned from as well is Lynn Scove. She's based in New York and she's the creator of Bright Star Babies. And this was it's only the baby part of, it's not so much yoga. It's really not yoga at all. It's really about their development. And it's from inside the womb and then outside of the womb. It's very, very interesting.
Hmm.
Talking about things like your birth print. Here's one of the things I want to share, which I thought was so cool. Um, if while pregnant, you were a very active mama, there's a 95% chance that your child, your baby, is soothed best through big movement. If you're the kind of mama that wasn't very active, and this isn't a judgment thing at all. Some of us work desk jobs and we just, are move less. More likely that your child will soothe by very calming, slower movements, right? Active mama, huge movements to calm your baby. Non-active mama, it's so much smaller. It's wild, and it's called like your birth print.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
That is cool.
Yeah. So when I see a mom soothing and they're just moving very slowly and it's not working, I ask, hey, were you very active during your pregnancy? I'm just curious, because you never know why someone thinks I'm asking that. And if she says, yeah, I was, and I'm going to give this suggestion, well, you need to make huge movements. Let me show you how. Right. It's so fascinating. It really is
fascinating.
Yeah, her name's Lynn Scove, and she's Bright Start Babies. And it's, really, really interesting information stuff. It's really all about their development from in the womb and out. Very cool.
Oh my gosh, you've given me so much to think about. Thank you so much. So how can we find you online and sort of like what?
I'm everywhere. Well, Karma, you can always visit our website at karmakidsyoga.com. We are on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and Threads as Karma Kids Yoga. You can also, I'm separate, but I don't do the TikTok or Threads or whatever. Shari, me personally, on Instagram, on Facebook. We're on Instagram more than anything. But both the accounts are a little different. I'm a little feisty on my personal account. It's a little more personal, and though I do throw some work in there from time to time, I'll say my Karma Kids is a lot cleaner and less fussy and political, and less loud. It's sweeter and cuter, and shares a lot of the things that we have coming up, events or poses, things we're doing. What's up? Our YouTube channel. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Our YouTube channel is free to all. It's Karma Kids Yoga. You can access it off our website or just search YouTube. But there's so much fun content on there, including the slime meditation I told you about. And there's a number of baby yoga videos on there. One of my favorite, which was our professionally done video, has baby Matilda and mom Sarah in there. Matilda's now 10, but why it's such a great class, Matilda did not agree with everything we wanted to do. So it's a perfect example of how you need to just change what you're doing based on the baby. Like, it's such a great teaching moment, because Matilda was like, no, but she didn't say no. She just, in her baby way, told us, I'm not going to do that. So we changed directions. There's also tons of baby yoga classes on there from the pandemic. That's me teaching live online and interacting with anyone who was talking to me. So they're fun classes, but they are pandemic and a little strange, but you'll see my bear Marcus in there.
I love it.
Now. Yeah.
Excellent. Oh, thank you so much. I so appreciate your time. Pleasure. Just so much gold.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. It was so fun to talk to you.
So fun. Thank you, my dear. Talk soon.